Hi everyone, welcome to Sean Burgess Fitness and thank you for tuning in to our latest Flexibility Matters video on how to actively stretch through the spine. So this exercise has been around much longer than I have, and it is still to this day probably one of the most effective ways to try and lengthen not just through the middle of your back but from the upper and the lower parts as well. And as a therapist, this is a really good sort of tool to assess your client's movement, so you can actually see where people aren't moving correctly through the vertebrae, get an idea of what their motor patterns are, and actually even teaches you a bit about how to fully extend properly through your hips and how to go into flexion as well. So it's really good exercise. I like this one. And what I'm talking about is the cat stretch. Okay, so let's get into position. So fairly basic setup. You're going to have both of your legs just in line with your hip bones here at the front of your pelvis. You're going to go into a box position, so that means you're going to have your hands underneath your shoulders, and before you start you want to make sure your shoulders are rolled back and down, and we're actually creating a little bit of an arch here in the lower back, so you need to get into that lumbar tilt. Okay, the shoulders, like I said, just pulled back and down. Then, this is where a lot of people go wrong. When they start to move, they tend to sort of almost start here, sort of lower to mid back. That's incorrect. What we want to try and do to do this properly is actually start from the top of the vertebrae, so think from the very top of your neck, so in around the sort of C1, C2 area. So that means we're going to just tuck the chin in, just get that little bit of flexion through the upper neck. Then we want to work through the spine in sequence, so that means that we're working down the vertebrae and not moving the lower back first, which a lot of people struggle to do. And I'm sure as you're watching this, you'll probably even notice that I have to really think about this, and I actually struggle to do it myself without quite a few practice goes. So we work through the vertebrae, so we end up in the lumbar spine, we get that nice flexion stretch here, we're really lengthening through the thoracic spine especially, so all 12 vertebrae there. And then as we go back into extension, don't drop through the hips, go head first, and just repeat what we did before. So we're working down through the spine and trying to keep that in sequence and finish back in our starting position with that little bit of a lumbar tilt. Okay, and then practice that. Okay, I would keep it pretty much at that tempo there. If you get a little bit more progressive with this, you could increase the speed a little bit, but we want to have control. Alright, so if you're going too quick, I can guarantee you're going to lose control of the movement and you won't be able to feel the vertebrae moving in sequence. So it's very important that you keep it quite slow. Remember, because it's an active stretch, it's a dynamic stretch, you're only going to be doing one set, two if you want, and you're only going to be doing 10 reps. So it might be a little bit time consuming, but then you're only doing it once, so it's not too bad. If you want to bring into place your breathing as well, just from a yoga standpoint, remember, almost hold your breath as you go into flexion and breathe out as you come into extension and go back into your starting position. That just helps to relax the body as well, and it stops you from building up like an oxygen debt where you feel like you're slightly out of breath. So a great stretch, like I said, been around for a long time and it will be around forever because it just really works well. Give it a go, guys, and remember, if you've got any queries or questions about any of the content that you've seen today in the video, get in touch with us at any time, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you again soon.